I just basically get my phone and start typing it out, and it just comes that fast. So this is what came to me. I was actually thinking about something else at the time. I was concentrating on the word weeds came to me. But then this dropped. Rise up. Many moons ago, Randy and I went down to Seattle to a mega church conference for pastors. We didn't know anybody, as it wasn't our usual assembly we networked with. One of the days we sat for lunch at a large round table. As people began to talk, I was taken back by how they were so trying to impress one another. It wasn't so much glorifying the Lord as it seemed about self-promotion. Size mattered. It made me sad and wanting to leave, perhaps due to my own insecurities. However, Randy and I were about to be undone. We were sitting next to a tiny man. I mentioned his size, as it was so vastly different from the others that were sat around the table. He sat there quietly. Randy and I started asking him about himself. As he began his story, I was overcome with the awe of this man's stature. Wow, the others were missing true greatness. There was nothing flashy, nothing that you would notice from the outside, but here was a man who had laid it all down for Jesus. I don't remember his name, and it was hard to hear over the others, and his accent was really strong. But as he told of the persecution and the suffering he had endured for his faith, I wanted to scream at the chatter of the other voices. I wanted to lift this man to a place of honor. I wanted to wash his feet. A feeling of unworthiness washed over me. Here, with us, sat true greatness. He spoke of how he'd been imprisoned in China, how he was beaten, starved, and made to go without water, how they made him toil without rest. I asked how he could do it. How did you survive? He said it was the overwhelming presence of God. A presence so strong in the darkest hours that he had more than enough. That tiny man may never know it, but his words changed my life. He inspired us that day in a way no other had. There sat true humility. A man who had emptied himself, taken up the cross, willing to give it all. His final words will ring in my head forever. I asked him a question. What was the most difficult time you went through? His statement shocked me. With tears in his eyes, he replied, my most difficult time was when I left that cell. The presence of Jesus has never been as strong as it had been in there. I long to be there again. Church, we sit huddled in our little bubbles, afraid of a virus. We're content and amused by the luxuries, the blessings we've all been given. All around us, there are people who are suffering. They're in jails of solitude, loneliness, bondage, and despair. We've been called to rise beyond our fears, called to step out and know that God is more than enough. Think of the cost others have paid. There are souls to contend for, hearts that need to be saved. Hell is eternal. Life is fleeting. Only those things that we do for Jesus will last. He's calling us into his vineyard. Are we willing to lay it all down? Will we let fear cripple us, or will we answer his call? Let's empty those prisons of fear and doubt. Do we long to see him? To look upon his face? Do we realize nothing can separate us from the love of God? Can tribulation or distress, can persecution or famine or nakedness or COVID? Fear is our enemy and faith is our call. We need to rise up.